Hi everyone, welcome back again to another episode of the Biz Talk Society, where we get a group of business owners and entrepreneurs together to talk about business issues and anything else that might come up. With that, I'd like everyone to start the introductions if you would. Why don't you start us off, Cynthia?
Hi, I'm Cynthia Ballard from CP Marketing, specializing in social media marketing and consulting.
David McCall, president of Future Evolutions Incorporated.
Sean Santoro, financial services broker with Solomon Financial and mortgage agent with TMG, the Mortgage Group.
My name is Owen Pamsey. I'm the broker owner of Coldwell Banker Essential Realty and also a mortgage agent with Mortgage Alliance of Canada. And we're fortunate enough tonight, guys, to have with us a guest host. Her name is Natalie Bourgoin. She is one of the most well-known entrepreneurs in the area, as well as a big philanthropist and a person who is involved in almost everything, all the time, everywhere. And I don't know how she does it, but she definitely does it. Welcome, Natalie.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me.
Nice to have you along. Who wants to start us off? Our topic tonight is websites. Websites. We should have as like the www this time stands for websites 3 times.
All right.
Because we want to talk about how important they are to not just the business world in general, but especially during the challenging times that we're having these days with COVID-19. So who'd like to start us off?
What about Cynthia?
I'd probably have to lean to the person who's the specialist in the area.
Cynthia, you have been voluntold.
I've been voluntold, so
I've been waiting to use that one. I wanted to use that one for a while.
Yeah, so obviously with these unprecedented times, people are trying to figure out how they can get their business out there, and deliveries, curbsides, all those type of things that a lot of business owners kind of put off and doing, and now they're doing a lot more. And it's really important, I feel, for people to realize when you are building a website to make it clean, simple, and easy to do business with you. So when people come to your website, they want to make sure to know who you are, what you offer, and how can I get it. So how can I buy it, or how can I get in touch with you? Before, 5 years ago, you'd have your complex websites that, go 5-10 pages deep inside of, but unfortunately now all of our attention spans are a lot less. So you can get away with landing pages and or just one page scroll websites. And I always say it's important to have your 3 points of contact. So whether that is booking a call with you, buying your product, or doing business with you on your homepage is extremely helpful. So those are some preliminary tips that I would suggest for today.
Can I ask what your thoughts are on the mailing lists? When you go onto a website and asks pop-ups go on, and would that be another resourceful, so you're the one actively reaching out?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you all know this, but on Monday, Gmail crashed. Not only Gmail, but YouTube crashed as well, and so did WhatsApp. So these are forms of ways that businesses are trying to get in touch with their clients and doing business with them. Facebook goes down, Instagram goes down. What do, right? If you don't have a mailing list, then you really don't have a way to get in touch with your customers. So, to do that, the best way is to utilize social media, leverage it, offer a free offer. So whether that is, a checklist of some sort, or a simple product, or a ebook that you can give an email. Unfortunately, again, people want something to give something, right? So they want you to offer a free product so that you give them their email, but now that's invaluable.
No, it's interesting when you bring up what happened on Monday with Gmail. That actually reminded me, as one of the older people in the group, that we rely too heavily on technology a lot of the time. I mean, the whole world was scared that Gmail was going down. I have a Gmail account, but I also use my Coldwell Banker, my professional email account. Thank God. And I think everyone should have at least 2 email addresses. But it's also going back. I just had this discussion with a guy today about how important it is just to do this, even talk to each other, and telephone calls face to face whenever possible, but at least a phone call, as opposed to just relying on everything by text or email. And again, of course, on websites, I'm seeing less and less of the ability to call people. Less and less, and I think it's a mistake. I really do. I don't think it matters to the age of the person as much as it does their desire just to be able to speak to people. Like I tried to do a return at Best Buy the other day, and I did the return, but it didn't show up on my account. And I tried to reach somebody, and it's terrible. You call the store, and all they do is direct you to their 1-800 numbers, and even then, I had an hour and a half. They told me right on there, you have an hour and a half wait, and you have that option to click a button, and then it's like, well, we'll call you back. We'll call you, and I said, yeah, let's do that. And then it actually said, understand it's going to be at least an hour and a half because we have an hour and a half in queue already. So you're going to get a call back in an hour and a half, which I did, and they were not helpful at all. They had no idea what to do with my situation. It's just, and it's a service thing. So I think people have to be careful on websites to make sure that you offer all the information people need to call you, or email you, or text you. Remind people they can text that number. Any way that you can make it easier. I think you mentioned it already earlier, Cynthia, is that having, I guess that's where the term user-friendly comes out of, is that have a site that's easy to work with, but also make sure that you can actually speak to people if you need to.
Well, that's where I think, Owen, and I agree with you on the communication part of it, where a lot of people either go with social media and they focus everything on that, or most of it, or they focus on their website. And I think you've got to really get a good balance where your website's leading people to your social media, or your social media is leading people to your website, so that people have all that information. So if they can't get a hold of your website, or it's too confusing, they can find you on social media, and vice versa.
Now, I have a question, Cynthia. Because right, and again, in a lot of businesses, it's first impressions. So when it comes to first impression of a website, what kind of have you seen that's more advantageous in the past, that works more often than it doesn't, that sort of? And again, right, it all, I'm sure, is dependent on industry and what business they're doing. But again, there's got to be some simple things that are just people can kind of grasp their head on, is don't need to get too fancy, or what?
Yeah. So what I think a really good way to answer that would be the don'ts, right? The things that make it not user friendly, or something where I want to navigate away from it as fast as possible. So, I have a hard time sleeping. So a lot of times when I'm lying in bed, I'll scroll through social media, or I'll look at websites. The worst thing that can happen is when your website has an autoplay video or auto music. That really turns people away. They want to navigate away. They don't want something intrusive in their face. If they want to see your video, they're going to push play. Now, having that said, if you're going to a landing page where you're saying, where they've already wanted to make a point of purchase, you've been brought there because of social media, and it's like, hi, I'm Cynthia. I want to talk to you about my product. Thank you for visiting my page. Totally different, because you're expecting that when you're going to a product page 9 times out of 10, if it's like a coaching call or something that you're looking to schedule, right? But yeah, so I would highly recommend that do not put music or video on your websites that autoplay. When you come to the website, it is very important, especially in the service industry, or when you brought that up, is your phone number. 85% of people are looking to get in touch with you for your service or your product from their phone. Make sure that is hyperlinked so that when you click on it, it calls, because that just helps you from SEO too, that if they're coming to your website and they're making a call, again, that's a conversion. So you're looking for that for your website. And then just user friendly, in the sense of, if I'm going to purchase something from your website, I don't want to have to go 3 pages deep to finish my purchase, because I may now navigate away and say, this is overly complicated. So if I can click on it, add it to cart, go to cart, pay, and use something like Square or PayPal or something that people are familiar with, then again, it makes it a lot easier to do business with you.
I just actually had that today, Cynthia. My phone plan's up with the company that I'm with. So I was looking at other companies' websites to find out what their plans were like. And I was on Fido, with Fido. I went to theirs to look up plans, no problem. There they were, nice and easy. All listed, prices, everything else. I went to TELUS and I went to Rogers, and it was a nightmare trying to get the information from their website. I mean, here I am, I'm trying to give you my money and you're making me work for it. So I said to my wife exactly that. I said, these are terrible. So I actually just jumped right back onto Fido because at least I could find the information. Now, one of the things I liked about some of the websites, and I think this is really important, and I know Natalie has it on her website, is really high quality images. I've gone to a few websites where they've just taken something off Facebook or they've gone to these free image sites. I think it's really well worthwhile, having somebody, pay a few bucks, get a friend who's really good with a photographer, take some high quality, high level images. I think it really makes your website stand out.
Especially if your brand is specialized in quality, product quality, service quality, then quality around the board, professionalism, utilizing any means possible to really show off high quality branding is important for sure.
I heard David crying for a minute there. Are you okay, David?
Yeah, that was because of my new phone plans. Man, they're expensive.
See, that's how upset you were. That's how upset you were.
Sorry, Owen,
Sure.
I'm just going to interrupt for a second. Because
Yeah.
we're in this world of like Zoom and virtual school and kids and all these things, obviously you hear them in the background. We see them sometimes in our show, and because we all have families, right? And I think it's become more normal. Before we'd have to try to, push that away. So Natalie, it's all good.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I'm still going to keep my phone on mute when I'm speaking.
You know what I've noticed? What I've noticed over time is that sometimes people are overly heavy on their content on their website, and there is a less is more kind of attraction there. And I look at our websites as a company, my own website and my company website on a regular basis, and it's kind of like business cards. If you notice over the years, business cards have become a lot less heavy with content on them too, and just making it easy for people to read and easy to navigate when it comes to websites. I think is very important. But
well, I think you're right on that, Owen. If somebody comes to your website, they already most likely have an idea of what they're looking for. They come to your website looking for real estate. They don't need to be overloaded with a ton of information. They just need the information.
Yeah, because people don't have the attention spans they used to have either. So, yeah, but along with that too is I find a frustration with domain names. It's kind of, even with email addresses. Email is so secure. When I see people doing these convoluted, Sparky LA 1982, / 4 times at whatever. It's unnecessary to a large degree to over secure your email address anymore. So when I see people just like Sean Santoro at it'sallaboutme.com, whatever it is, that just that to me makes sense. Is that you're especially if
That's what he gets.
you want to identify.
You're freezing out there, Owen.
Thank you, internet gods.
Right? Cynthia, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Being that now if you look at the usage in internet or websites or the e-commerce shoppers, I think everybody could agree that there's an age bracket. Am I skipping too?
No, he's back, but now he comes back and he just looks really just like unhappy. What happened? You bounced out there.
What happened was I was on my hotspot and my teenager came in and got the Wi-Fi going, so it kicked over to Wi-Fi. So there was a little glitch, and that has nothing to do with my website. That has to do with my internet. Different discussion altogether. So can I go back a minute to just I had another point about domain names. You notice that a lot of people, and I've advised people on this for years, of course, as a business owner. A lot of people try to do this .net or something else. Even .ca has never taken off or as popular as .com. Right, Cynthia?
Well, it's interesting that you said that, Owen, because I have CB Marketing .solutions. So it's not a .com.
Right.
So it just depends on how you're using it and how you're marketing it. Because if you're doing business with the US, then you want to have a .com, because for some reason the US don't really trust the .cas. If your business is merely Canadian, .ca is okay, right? No longer really in the world of if it's .com, .net, .org, does it really matter? Because most of the time now we have the power of Google and search engines. So people just normally know your name, or they're finding you from somewhere else to go to your website. They're not just, most people aren't just stumbling upon your website. They've
Well,
gone.
no, not necessarily. Yeah, well, I think that depends, because, I think it depends on the industry, is what I was going to say. In my industry, in real estate, there's over 1,000 realtors. So you need to find every little bit of an edge that you can with the competition. So what I find is people do stumble across us, and the easier we are to locate, the better. And of course, you want as many hits on the web as you can. You want to have as many URLs out there as you can. And I do find that in my business, at least, and even when I'm searching, .com is it's like, I guess if you get a bar graph of most common domain endings, .com's way up there, for a while. And I think even still, it's kind of like, it became what they like to call a generic term. So most people will call, they'll ask for a Kleenex instead of a tissue. The Kleenex is a brand name. There was a long time, especially in the early days of the internet, where people would ask, "What's your .com?" Right? You guys have heard that term, I'm sure. So the .comers do see it as, .com is the most popular ending in a domain name, in my opinion. I understand what you mean about, solutions. So I would always be concerned. I would actually have 2 domain names and have them point to one website. I would always believe that people just habitually would type .com. And next, I think in Canada is .ca, not .net and .biz. And, I also think there's a reason why when you go and buy these domain names, those other ones are cheaper. .biz and again, .net and, .org, they're cheaper because less people want them.
Yeah, it goes to supply and demand, right? So unfortunately, the reason why those became more popular is because a lot of .coms are taken. So
Right.
You have a domain that you want, but that .com is gone. So now what? Now what do you do? Where do you go? So you go to those other solutions. Right?
Yeah.
I really don't think, for sake of our conversation and our listeners, it doesn't matter whether you're a .net, .solutions, .com, .ca. It's what people see when you get there. How do you get your real estate, website, or your financial website, or whatever your website is, to stand out in a crowd? I mean, nowadays with COVID, everybody is jumping. Even people who weren't online before are now jumping online and creating their websites. Most of those people are going to continue to run their websites afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have, even more websites than ever. And people are getting lost in a sea of websites. So you really have to, as you said, Owen, make it, and Cynthia, make them efficient, make them sleek, do some unique things to make your website stand out. Don't put on the big videos, don't put on the annoying music, don't do all that stuff that's going to drive them to your competitor just because you've got an annoying website. Make them, as in today with my experience, make them easy to use. You want to follow those things. I want to come there, see what you have, see what the prices are, and I want the button to push to be able to get it.
I'll do something that I rarely do, which is to disagree.
Oh my God.
In that I do think, David, I do think, and again, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I do think it is important that your domain name be as efficient as your website, because they're not getting to your website until your domain name works. So your domain name needs to make sense. It shouldn't be too long. It shouldn't have, I teach on this stuff in my company. You see people who want like a dot or a dash in the middle of a domain name. For what reason? Like it's not necessary. It might look cool, but all it does is stumble the ability for people to find you.
I agree with you on that. In the actual naming of the website, you want to make sure
Right.
that your name actually is, a concise name that tells what you're doing. Whether it's a .com at the end or a .ca, as Cynthia said, Google's going to find it. So, but yes, having the name that tells what you do, and not with the dots and dashes and Z's instead of S's and things like that. That could be confusing to Google and to the person searching. I agree with that completely.
See, this is where at any age, I think people need to understand, especially in the world that we're in right now, because these comments are gonna obviously make this podcast, this particular recording, timestamped because we are in COVID days. But you can't go in a lot of buildings now, so the website becomes the storefront. The website becomes the store. It becomes the office that people want to walk into and not only find the information that they want, but be taken care of. So I think, this is a great topic, actually, I think, because it is really even more important now for people to realize how their website is going to make or break their business as we go forward.
Their website and also on
sorry.
that's okay. And then also the marketing that goes to it, right? So, Owen, to your point there, for real estate, a lot of times real estate agents have your bench ads and, your classical type of marketing. So you're going based on people's memories. So that's where those domains are really important. When it comes to certain products and services where they're doing ads through social media or through the web, it really doesn't matter what that domain is because those links are driving you to the website. So it just depends on how they're getting to your website. But one thing I really wanted to stress is the strength of your Google My Business. A lot of businesses make the mistake of not having a Google My Business. And for example, I visited your business and I want to find you. If I go into Google and I search that, Google My Business is going to strengthen the ability for your website to be found too. So make sure that that's inside of your marketing for your website because that will help people being able to navigate.
I'll give you an example. Just the other day, you guys all know that I just moved into a new office with my real estate company, and we have a kitchen and we wanted a fridge. And after exhausting a terrible experience looking through Kijiji and trying to reach people and blah, 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 we ended up, I thought, well, let's support local, let's look at the appliance companies in town that are local, that might even have decent used appliances because it's just going in the back room in the kitchen, or the back of the office. And it was awful that so many of these local outlets didn't have inventory on their websites, and they were hard to reach and they were hard to navigate. And I thought to myself, so you're competing with the big bots. You're competing with the big names, not just Canadian names, international names, Lowe's, the Brick. You're competing with big name companies, and you're just not doing a great job of that. If you're not giving people a reason, everybody right now is talking a lot about support local. Well, please help yourselves then. Add a page to your website, spend a little bit of money. I know everything costs money these days. Add a little bit to your website. Don't try to do this whole DIY thing. Hire people like Cynthia, who is an expert at marketing, and help. And the money is well spent to deal with a person who knows what they're doing, because it's just going to bring you more business, and it's going to bring you business long term.
Well, the one thing I could speak to Natalie, because Natalie's website, I mean, you sell products directly, Natalie. Now, for your website, what do you find works the best for your sales?
My business infrastructure is different than a standard e-commerce site. For me, I have more the power of mouth. For me, I have sales. I have sales agents that sells my product, and it's word of mouth, and then they have parties and things like that. That's where the vast majority of my sales come from. So I'd say it's a little different of a platform than e-commerce, but of course, like funnels, things that point to it, having good social engagement through, YouTubes and LinkedIn's and, that's what has always filtered through and funneled into my website. apart from my reps, you know. I mean, the power of the SEO is pretty, you know, powerful, right? Cynthia's smiling, shaking her head. So, you know, making sure that you hone in on that, having proper, clear, concise call to actions on your site, shop now, check out here, abandoned cart, you know, reminders, emails, like that kind of stuff. Just basically having a whole system from when it's being like delivered to you or put in front of you, that consistent branding throughout. Once they land on your page, it's clear, it's concise, call to action buttons, you know, reminders, it's clean, the branding sticks with the quality of your work, you know, whatever it may be. For me, an e-commerce site is almost like having it's not a business card, but it's a representation of yourself and the quality of service you offer, the quality of goods that you offer. So remaining consistent throughout. Sorry, I know I went a little bit more than what you were asking.
No,
But
that's perfect. You touched on a lot of points there.
That's all good stuff. It's all good stuff.
Yeah,
I think what else happens is that people put out their website and then they just let it ride, and they don't update it. They don't check into it. They don't look at it from the experience of the visitor as to what they're seeing, because they, you know, it's good. You know, the website's there. It's good. That I think that's a mistake too. That's the same to me again as having a store and never changing the look of your store.
Well, that's the thing there, Owen, because if somebody comes to your website, you know, or and maybe not yours because of the real estate, but let's say they come to Natalie's and they're looking at product that she has on there, and every time they come on there, there's the same pictures and the same products, and nothing changes, they're going to stop coming there. You know, they're going to go to the competitor. So yes, upgrading your images, reshuffling your you know, your formats, putting on articles or blogs or things that of interest to bring them back to your website.
special offers, sales.
Yeah, everybody can do things like blogs and information. You know, that brings people to the sites because it's something free and they're getting something from it. You know, and hopefully while they're there, they'll see the new thing that you've got posted. You know, the things as simple as that.
Sean's been a little quiet on this one. What's going on, Sean?
Well, the social media and the website stuff is definitely not my forte. So in circumstances like these, I absolutely defer to the professionals. But again, I do visit a lot of sites on, again, whatever it is that I'm looking for. And I completely agree with Dave's point. If I'm here to spend money, you better make it easy for me, because there's no reason not to. I'm literally here to give you my money.
Right.
Why make it hard on yourself? And Owen, I agree with your point, right? If you're local and you're competing with those big box guys, right? There's a reason why they're the big box chains, because they make it easy for you to just show up, get what you want, and get out of there.
Well, and that's kind of what happened eventually. I ended up going to Lowe's, called a buddy of mine just to, you know, vent about my frustration with a couple of these stores that, you know, I couldn't even reach people. And he said, "Oh, don't waste your time. Go to Lowe's." And I was like, "You know what? It's on my way home. I'll check it out." I walk into Lowe's over at Lowe's on Parkway. I asked a guy at the door, "Where's your appliances?" Right back there. I walk back there. This guy named Rick walks up to me. "Nice guy. What can I help you with?" "I need a cheap fridge to put in my office." "Good. I got two. They're both $900. Frigidaire, Samsung. I can have it." This was Saturday. "I can have it in your office on Monday afternoon. $70 delivery. I can get you 2 extra years warranty for $90. I'm like, sold. I'm out. I'm done. I was in and out, literally, guys, 10 minutes.
He literally, and he soft closed you just by saying, you know, you haven't even said, "Yes, I'll take it" yet, but he's already moved to like, "I can have it there for Monday or Saturday."
I knew what he was doing, but he was very good at it. But I will say, the interesting part of that is, and I said this to him, you just won my whole $900 purchase, you lucky bugger. You just won because the other guys lost me. You know, I might not even be here if the people that I wanted to give the business to did a better job. And I think that's also true of websites. When people are looking for a service, they see one website that lets them down. The next one, even being a little bit better, looks a lot better. So people need to understand your competition is out there doing a good job, and you need to at least get in line with that.
Well, that's one of the I was going to say, Owen, is you really have to like look at what everybody else is doing, and not necessarily do exactly what they're doing. You don't want to be a carbon copy of.
Definitely don't. Yeah, don't do that.
But look for what they're not doing. What is missing from their websites? What can you add that they don't have? You know, make yourself stand out. So take their lessons, you know, and just use that information.
Here's another good thing to think of. And again, I totally know that Cynthia, all the stuff that we're saying, she's just like, everything you guys are saying is right. It's just like in any kind of business, when you see something that's good, it's great. You don't always blast it across, you know, to 150 different people, but you know what you do notice? When something's not great. And Brianne and I say that all the time, is she'll be looking at something like, you know, like I was looking at blah, 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 blah. But like, look at these guys' website. Like, look at this. Like, there's just nothing. What is this? And these, it's
Stands
there's
out
no
as
reason
bad.
for it.
Oh no, I mean, Sean, just today, as I told you, I was looking at 2 websites that were terrible to use. These are companies, but the websites were terrible to use. And if somebody says to me, you know, I'm looking at going with TELUS or the Rogers, I'm going to say, well, good, give them a call or go to the stores because their websites suck. You know, and these are big, you know, national companies. So I mean, it's not just the little guys who can make mistakes. The big guys are doing it too.
I can tell Cynthia wants to chime in. You got something there.
So I guess what I wanted to say is kind of like what kind of wrap up what everybody's saying here. So Natalie mentioned e-commerce, and a lot of businesses get scared about that. They're like, oh my goodness, e-commerce. You know, before, if you asked to build an e-commerce website, you're looking at $3,000 to $10,000 for your e-commerce website. Not anymore, guys. Business-wise, you can go and you can look at WooCommerce. You can look at Square. Now Square offers it, and also Shopify. So just do your research. Know what's best. Make sure that you can interact with your customer, but also GoDaddy. GoDaddy offers the ability for you to do certain things too. So, you know, if it's not in your budget to hire a professional, at least deal with a professional other avenue, right? Because this, because you want to make sure that you can get your product out there in a professional way. And let's face it, many people aren't web designers, right? So why don't go to something where it's already built there, right? And then, you know, Dave, when somebody has a bad time or on the website, or it's not working, or it's glitchy, or, oh yeah, you don't want to do business with them, I tried doing this and the cart failed, or what have you, it just leaves a very bad impression. So, you know,
So Cynthia, I'm curious, in your business, have you seen a shift in the way people are you know, asking you to do their work like within the last 8-9 months of COVID?
Yeah, so restaurants that we did social media marketing for solely, you know, we built the ability for people to do curbside pickup from there, right? And an apple orchard. I mean, an apple orchard, you would think you can just go to the orchard. Well, you know, in these days it's a little bit tougher. So we built, again, a shopping cart where you can buy apples, you can buy the jams, you can buy the Mennonite sausage and all those things on there, right? A flower shop as well. You know, before it would be where you can use something like the, I think it's called FDA flowering, where they'd have to pay like a wire transfer and it was more expensive for your user. Why do that? You know, for your business, why don't you keep as much money as you can in your pocket and help your customers by not having those exorbitant fees, by just scheduling something through WooCommerce and doing it through, you know, postal codes and delivery and all those type of things. So it's not as complicated as people think it is.
Well, no, Cynthia, and before we get closed up here, because I know our time's getting close. There's a really great program, and by the way, I don't work for them. I don't, you know, I just bought it. I think it's great. It's called Geru, Geru, and it's a sales funnel simulator. So
I've had that with tzatziki sauce.
But it's a simulator. So if people aren't really experienced at creating a sales funnel for their website or social media or whatever, you can basically put stuff together through this, and it will simulate whether it works or not. So that you don't put something out there that's not going to function, or that there's going to be problems. It'll find the problems for you before you actually go live. So it's a great thing to check out.
I think bottom line, people need to understand, if you're going to be in business, we all struggle with income and expenses. We all look at where to spend our money the most effectively, and it's just called return on investment. Having a good website and understanding the balance of knowing that people are just looking for good service and good places to spend their money, like we always talked about, and having at least a decent website. It doesn't have to be, like $1,100 a month. Spend, $50, $60 a month. Have a good website maintained. And boy, does that money come back to you. Cynthia, am I wrong on those numbers? I mean, for $50, $60 a month, you can have a strong, maintained website, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Once it's developed, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yes, development up front. But I think that's where people really just maybe they don't do the research, but they think they can go it alone. And especially in a world where your competition is doing exactly that, they are all over the internet. I mean, it's never going away ever. I think it's just really important for people to have a good presence in their building, but a great presence on the World Wide Web. We're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes, guys. Any other comments?
I have a question, Cynthia. Just for, again, right, a lot of the times people, if they haven't moved into, getting a nice website set up, or maybe they're right, fresh, new business owners, so that they can kind of see, because again, right, in all businesses, doesn't matter what it is, there's going to be some people that just take advantage of others, take advantage of the situation. And so for somebody looking for a website, and again, I know it's, right, again, this is a moving target, but a simple something, quick landing thing, where's kind of a ballpark range that, like, all right, you're paying $3,000 for that, you're probably getting, right, overcharged. What's something that people can kind of shoot to kind of have a goal in mind, number one? And second question, I've heard of there's again, not always a one size fits all, but have a percentage of yearly revenue dedicated towards advertising, marketing, right? Your website, whatever it is, that portion. What kind of, sorry, that's two questions in one, but what's kind of a number that people can expect to pay? And what's a number that people should try and focus on dedicating towards their marketing goals, I guess?
For sure. Yeah. There is no one size fits all, but typically you're looking at, 500, 750, 1,500, and 3,000 is basically where websites go. So 3,000, you better be getting a Cadillac of a website for that. And that better be an amazing e-commerce website built with everything and all your inventory already in there. Gone are the days where companies should really be charging $3,000 for a website. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but a lot of it has to do with the planning after. So the marketing that goes after the website, and looking at that from the full gamut of, hey, I'm going to build you a website, but what happens after, right? So when you're looking at that, Sean, I would say for businesses, it's important anywhere from 5% to 10% to go back in there, again, depending on your industry, for your marketing. Because if marketing is costing you money, then you're not doing it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting that. Because again, right, the whole point of marketing is to drive more business. And so if you've spent the money to send the business, and it's not, producing, well, there's a hole in the pipeline somewhere, right? And maybe it has nothing to do with the website or the ad campaign or anything. Maybe it's somebody's execution. Maybe they don't know how to put the appliances in the right spot. Maybe they don't know how to answer a phone call or direct you to the right department. Or maybe they're just, not very good at sales. I don't know. Who knows?
Closing and support, yeah.
Is that Natalie, sorry?
Oh no, when he was saying like people's sales closing skills are poor, maybe it's not the marketing itself, maybe it's an op error, right?
There was a girl that called me from she was part of the marketing group of I think it was like the Tecumseh book or something like that, or like those community kind of newsletter kind of things. And we had a little call again, and we're chatting. And there was like multiple soft closes, tie down questions, enough that I was like, where did you do your sales training? Because you've got some solid skills. And she's like, oh, thank you very much. But again, I try and bring light, because again, learning to do sales is not the easiest thing in the world. It's not easy to get outside your comfort zone and try and create sales. It's a difficult thing. And so I like to commend people of that.
I'm going to jump in here. That's a whole other show.
Do it. You sold me.
That one I'll be a part of.
There you go. So I think we're pretty good here.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty good. I do want to make one more point as we wrap up, if you don't mind, guys. I was in retail menswear in my 20s a long time ago, and I used to train my staff by telling them, walk out of the store and walk back in like you're a customer, and feel that perspective change. And that's what, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I think that's kind of what people need to do when they're looking at their internet presence. Look at it like you're a consumer. You're just a regular person wanting to look for that particular product or service. And it does give you a change of perspective. In my business now, I tell people to do that when they're getting their house ready for sale. Walk outside and come back in like you're buying it. If you come do an open house, you see things differently. So it's incredibly important to, you know, deal with people like CB Marketing and others that might be competition to her, which is probably not a whole lot. But you know, it really is important to do it well if you're going to do it at all. No half-ass effort, and don't, you know, like you asked about the marketing costs, Sean. I always recommend in my business people look at 10%. It's in our business, but again, it's incredibly competitive. You have to stand out, and that means you spend a little bit more money and you write it off as a business owner. So it does pay off. So I think this was really good. I really enjoyed everybody's points, and I think I hope that we have impressed our listeners with a few new ideas that they can add into their business model and improve their position, especially on the internet. So thank you again, everyone. We're going to do our outros if we could. Start with Cynthia.
Cynthia Ballard, CB Marketing.
David McCall, president of Future Evolutions Incorporated.
Sean Santoro with Solomon Financial and TMG, the mortgage group.
And of course, we had our guest host today, Natalie Bourgoin. Would you like to tell everyone a little bit about you before we go, Natalie?
Sure. Like you had mentioned, avid entrepreneur, philanthropist. I own an international direct sales company called Femme Fatale Parties. And I've dabbled, I guess, in multiple. I know it's loud in the background. I'm trying to I was gonna say it really quick and then log off the noise, but yeah, I've opened and started multiple different corporations, businesses, storefronts in all of the provinces that I've lived in throughout the years. So yeah,
you could create a coaching and training company of your own. That's what you could do. Actually, I think all of you could. I think we all could. I think we are. This is what's nice about this group. We all have experience and a lot to say and a lot to help with. So, but we really appreciate you being on as a guest host, Natalie. It's nice to see you again.
thank you.
And I want to thank everyone for your time. And I want to thank everyone for listening to the Biz Talk Society tonight. You can reach us. What's our email address, David?
It's the Biz Talk Society at gmail.com. Or they can go to the website at www.thebiztalksociety.com.
And our Facebook page.
The Biz Talk Society.
Biz Talk Society on Facebook. Thank you very much again. I hope everyone enjoyed our little effort here tonight, and hope everyone stays safe.
See you later.